Walking down the road less traveled. It's harder when the sun is shining, 'cause the light's not fair. I'm talking to my darkest shadows. This love is do or die, but they don't care. I don't know why I do this to myself. It's not right, but I can't love no one else, no one else. But I can't love no one else, no one else.
Hello and welcome to the Styrian Mountains here for round number 8 of the AOR rFactor 2 Formula 1 World Championship. We're here for the first part of qualifying, Q1, that goes for 12 minutes. We've got all drivers that are penalty-free, making their way out into the circuit now with Craig Baxter leading the field through the pit lane exit. We've got a sensational race ahead of us, but obviously we've got to set the grid. So we've got 2 parts to qualifying. The first goes for 12 minutes, where the top 10 will advance to Q2, and they'll have 7 minutes to set their fastest time as the timesheets are wiped. So we have Craig's going to be leading the field round. He's going to be the first driver to set a lap. Quite a few people sort of looking pace-wise, looking interesting in terms of pace. Like we can see the likes of Royal Blue really have shot themselves up the timesheets in practice. With such a short lap, there is such a fine margin for error. So we might be seeing a surprise pole position. We may see even Craig Baxter, the leaders, Craig Baxter, Sam Carpenter, maybe Philip Kraus, will be looking to potentially start on a harder compound, start lower down the grid, but then in slipstream save their fuel, because this is probably the worst race on the calendar in terms of fuel saving, because you just need to do so much of it through the entire lap. But we can go on board Craig Baxter now as he's going to fire his way down towards turn 1, braking just after the 100-meter mark. Doesn't want to run outside onto the curb and the grass on the exit of turn 1. Now firing up the hill, down now through what is technically turn 2, but it's just a kink into turn 3. Heavy braking. They get the car nice and slow down. Make sure the wheel is straight before you slam onto the throttle, because you can just see that corner there is probably the hardest on this circuit, because you can just spin up the rear so easily and spin around, and we'll see so many drivers doing it in qualifying and especially in the race. He's now going to be going through turn 5 and then into 6. You can see grass on the exit curve there. You don't want to make sure you don't want to extend too wide. He misses the curve there through turn 6. Now down into turn number 7 and then into 8. It's a quick section of corners. There's baguettes there on the inside that you don't want to run over, because your car will get launched and you'll get a lot of damage. Now through turn number 9 and then a baguette curve there on the exit through turn number 10. This is a very messy lap from Craig Baxter, and he pulls over. So he'll have to have another shot at it. But Sam Carpenter, I believe, was not very far behind him. Sam's going through turn 8 now. I believe he is. He might be on an outlap, might not be on a qualifying lap, but if he isn't on that lap, we'll be able to watch the full lap here from Sam. So he's going to come through the final corner, turn number 10. He's going to be starting his lap. He's going to be activating DRS now, building up to over 320 odd kilometers now, maybe. If the setup allows for it. No, he gets to about 317 there, into turn 1. Nails the curb there nicely, gets on the grass a little bit through the exit of turn number 1. Up now towards turn number 2, which is just a kink, but the detection point, he passes under the height banners. Now through turn 2, now into turn 3, braking heavily. He misses his marker and he goes really wide there. Looks like he's just going to complete the lap. He activates DRS yet again to allow the little short blast down towards turn number 4. Another downhill braking zone that's got a lot of challenge, just like there is, especially in the final corner, turn number 10. He runs on the exit curve, almost over the grass there. He's now going to go through turn 5 now into 6. Going to see, does he hit the apex on the inside? No, he gets a bit eager on the throttle, gets a massive snap of oversteer. Manages to keep the car on the circuit though, 2 through 7, now through 8. Misses the baguette on the inside. This is a short little blast. No DRS through this part of the lap. Into turn number 9. He's going to just hook the car up, hope it sticks. Now into turn number 10, more of the same through, like he was through 9, activates DRS, he's going to fly towards the line. It's going to be a 1 minute 6.1, so a lot of time there to game. You can see Tommy Yalato has gone to the top of the timesheets with a 1 minute 4.8, so the fastest time set by the Royal Blue car. He's about almost 9/10 of his fastest time he has done. He's done a 1 minute 3.9 was the fastest ever time Yalato did in practice. Substantially a lot more laps than his competitors around him. Craig Baxter really choosing just to take this race as sort of more of a relaxing race, because his main championship rival, Kieran Chadwick, is starting at the back of the grid, because he was not sure if he was actually going to make this race, but he has made it. He's not allowed to take part in qualifying because he allocated a bit too late, but he's here. He's going to have a go. We can see Yalato now, if we can go on board, has gone purple in the first sector with a 28.4, the fastest sector of anyone done so far. His teammate goes faster than him by just over 1/10 of a second. Now through turn 8, Yalato is going to be hoping that he can continue this form. He's done a red middle sector, so he's down on himself. Through turn number 9, doesn't want to run over the baguette curve on the exit. Now through turn number 10, a lot of steering input has been put in by this Royal Blue car, and it's really going to show later especially with the tyre weather he'll be experiencing. But he goes purple with a 1 minute 4.496. So he's got about half a second there, I think, for Gelato. It looked to improve. Let's see who else is out on circuit. Sam Carpenter, Craig Baxter is out on circuit. He's just on a lap on the super soft tyres. Kean White, though, has gone purple through the first sector. The man in 4th place is now going through turn number 7, and now he'll be going through turn number 8. He doesn't want to run over the rumble strips on the inside. We're on board now as he goes up over the hill, over the crest, through turn 9 now. He's going to have to hope the front end can stick through there. Now the same through turn 10. Will he run over the rumble strip on the exit? No, he keeps it all under control, activates TRS. He's going to fly towards the line, and what's it going to be? A 1 minute 4.452, so he goes just about half a tenth faster than Tommy Gelato. So some really close margins early in this qualifying session. Obviously, with such a short lap, only 4.3 kilometers to this Spielberg Red Bull Ring circuit. Formerly known as the A1 Ring, obviously in years gone by, but modern, and to this day, it's known as the Red Bull Ring. 10 corners, technically 9, but we won't argue about that. There's a few kinks that are counted as corners, but that'll be fine. You can see at the moment the top 10 shaping up is it's White ahead of Gelato, ahead of Roberts, ahead of Baxter, with Jacob Reed coming through with 5th. The two Zesty Racing cars of Kraus and Branthome, 6th and 7th. Ross Woodford is now 9th after being demoted by Sam Carpenter, who moves up to 6th place. Nick Brackey, the reserve driver, having just a little bit of a taste test before he steps up to the Zesty Racing seat next time out in Silverstone. He's in 10th at the moment, on the cusp of Q2. Max Shepard pressuring him, though, from behind. About 4 or so tenths behind is Shepard, behind Brackey. So there's a bit of time there for Shepard to make up if he wants to get into Q2, but there are some drivers around him that are yet to put in a fast lap, like David Boskovsky, who was really impressive during the practice time. But we can see who's going to be on a lap. We've got Tommy Gelato. He's backed out. As soon as I went to see what he's doing, he's immediately backed out. Craig Baxter, though, sticking strong with this super soft strategy. He just wants to see if he can try and qualify on super softs in Q2, because if you can use Q1, which is a fairly long session on such a short track, to sort of play around with the compounds, do a couple of super soft runs just to see what's going to be like in Q2, and then have another go on the ultra softs and see what that's going to be like, then compare. You can really make an informed decision about what you're going to do in Q2. If you're going to decide, you know what, let's go on the harder compound and see what we can do, or let's just stick with the safe option and go on the ultras and go for pole position. But pole position at this circuit may actually be a negative thing because of how much fuel you have to save throughout the course of the entire race. But Craig now into turn 1, locks up both front tyres. He seems to manage to keep it under control miraculously, firing up towards turn 2 and number 3. Hitting 8th gear, brakes just after the 100-metre mark, and he missed his braking point there. There was a driver locking up, but he manages to keep it on the circuit, minimises any wheel spin there. On the exit of turn 3, activates DRS yet again as he goes all the way now down the hill towards turn number 4. A heavy braking zone, downhill as well. So it's a lot like turn number 9 and turn number 10 in terms of how you got to approach the corner. Through turn number 6 now into 5th gear, gets a little bit of oversteer there through turn number 6, now through 7 and 8. He's got to make sure that the dirty air from the car in front doesn't push him out wide onto the rumble strips. They get well and truly out of the way. He's now going to hook it up into 9. Will the super softs have the grip to keep him going through these very demanding final corners? He's going to activate DRS. He's going to come towards a line, and he backs out of it. A real letdown there from Craig Baxter. We thought we were going to see a time, but he's going to go straight back out again. We've got 3 minutes left on the clock in this Q1 session. Max Shepard's been demoted down to 14th place with Ross Woodford on the cusp of Q2. He's in 10th place at the moment with Nick Brackey less than 0.03 of a second behind in 11th place. So see who else is. See if there's anyone else going on some laps here to see if anyone's going to be improving. We've got Dano Branthome starting a lap here. He's in 8th place at the moment, firing his way up the hill towards turn 1. Brakes almost at the 50-metre mark, which is a really late braking there from Dano Branthome. He keeps it going, minimises any mistakes. Sam Carpenter gets out the way. He's on the ultra soft tyres, is Dano. Sam on the super soft, so obviously going with something a bit different in terms of strategy. Into turn 3, misses the apex, but then spins round. Such an easy corner to mess up is turn number 3. There's obviously It's a unique corner in a sense, with it being uphill and such low traction. You can just spin the rears up so easily. We'll see who else is out on circuit doing a lap. See if anyone's improving. We've got Ross Woodford in 12th place, is currently on a lap. He's heading through up towards turn number 5 and into 6 is Ross Woodford. Is he actually on a lap, or is he? No, he's not. It's an out lap. Callum Roberts, though, is on a lap in 3rd place. He will he be able to improve as he heads through turn number 6. Now he gets on the rumble strips on exit, and yeah, he decides to back out of it. Philip Krause, though, in 6th place, is going very fast. He's gone purple in the first, red in the middle, into the final corner now. He's going to run towards the line. He's going to activate DRS. What's it going to be for Philip Krause? First place by a 1/10 and a half. So a 1 minute 4.237 is the fastest time we've seen in this Q1 session. Puts himself a 1/10 and a half ahead of Tommy Elato, who's only 7 thousandths ahead of the KRT of Evan Rice. So KRT, Evan Rice, out of nowhere, has really put in a time that is very, very competitive indeed. Puts himself ahead of Keen White, who really you would think is sort of his rival in this championship. Obviously, sort of got the Baxter versus Carpenter versus Krause, and then we've got versus Chadwick. Then we've got the sort of the Rice versus White versus Brantham on a good day versus Davidson. Obviously, when he's here, got Davidson currently on holiday in New York. So if he's watching, I hope you're having a great time, Scott. But he'll be back, I believe, for the British Grand Prix. Obviously, we have a break next week in terms of the F1 League, but not in terms of rFactor 2. We've got the 24-hour of Le Mans as the dying stages of this session. We've got anyone improving? We've got Dominic Lambrick's down 17th place, is looking like he's on a fairly green couple of sectors. Ross Woodford improves to 8th place. Lasse Sorensen, 18th place. He's going to come around the final corner. This will be a last gasp. He's not going to make it to the line to start another lap. So what's it going to be for Sorensen? It's 17th place at the very best for Lasse Sorensen. We've got Tommy Elato in 3rd. He's looking to improve. Is there anyone else? Dionys Farios, sorry, 14th place. He's currently gone green in the first sector. Will this be enough to put him into Q2 and get up there with the other stupid motorsport car of Jacob Reed through turn number 8 now? He's going to be coming towards a second sector split. Will we see any improvement? He's down by 0.7 of a second, which would put him on the cusp of Q2. Brantham is in 10th, so this could be very, very close for Dionys Farios. He's going to go on the grass, and oh, he's spun round, so that ruins any chance of improvement for Farios. But let's see. Nick Brackey's gone purple in the first sector. He's in 11th place. Nick Brackey's going to come up towards the second sector split now. He's down by... He's gone a red middle sector, so let's see. He's going to run over the rumple strip, and it ruins any chance of a Brackey improvement. So it looks as though that Dano Brantham has gotten away there massively with Nick Brackey stuffing up right at the line there, the penultimate corner, on the exit of it even. He got through the corner. He was just putting himself on the wrong line, ended up over the sausage curb and ruined any chance. So it's Krause who goes ahead of Baxter, Elato, Roberts, ahead of Rice, White, Reed, Woodford in 8th, Carpenter 9th, with Brantham advancing through to 10th. So we've got a few cars that have got 2 teams. Zesty Racing got two cars in. Royal Blue got 2 cars. So has Sabre. And then we've got sort of the solo drivers of Baxter, Reed, Woodford, and Rice, obviously with Kieran Chadwick starting at the back of the grid for this race. So we've now gone green at the end of the pit lane for Q2. Not wasting any time at all. Craig Baxter, the first driver out on track on the super soft tyres. So he'll have a look to see what time he can set on those supers, but I wouldn't think that you'd be expecting a Craig Baxter pole position today, because he's thinking about the race. He's really thinking the long game. If I start on the super softs, I'm going to extend my stint life. I'm going to be able to go slower in slipstream, saving fuel, win. No real negatives to the situation. You just got to hope that one of his rivals don't qualify on the ultra softs, because they may run away. But in saying that, then they'll be burning more fuel. So really, the best option if you wanting to win this race is you want to start on the super soft tyres. You want to start maybe 3rd, 4th, have a clean first lap, and then just stick in the slipstream of the leader and save as much fuel as possible, because the more fuel you save, the better position you'll be in come the end of this race. Craig Baxter now going through turn number 10. He's going to be starting the first lap of Q2 here. the Red Bull Ring. Fans lining the circuit as he brakes on the curb at the 100-meter mark into turn 1. He nails the apex. He's now going to be running up through towards turn 2, which is just technically is a kink, but no real challenge to it. Into turn 3 now. He's going to brake almost at the 50-meter mark, which is really, really late. Nails the inside front curb there through turn 3. Doesn't spin up the rears as he on exit. Activates the DRS for the second time of this lap. Now going downhill, descending down towards turn number 4. He's going to be braking on the curb yet again. So one of the only drivers that is able to do that in this session. Seems to be keeping it all under control. Philip Kraus goes purple in the first sector, but we're going to keep with Craig, who locks up. It looked like he locked up both fronts on my screen, but could be a bit of lag there as he now heads through turn number 7. Into turn number 8, a lot of understeer, especially with these super soft tyres providing not as much grip as the hyper soft tyres, but Craig Baxter obviously going purple in the first 2 sectors. Let's see what's going to happen. Philip goes purple in the middle as well. Craig Baxter's going to come around the final corner, and he's going to be setting himself the fastest time of the session, and it's going to be a 1 minute 4.5. Let's immediately go to Philip Kraus, who's a second, who beats it by about 1 3/4 tenths of a second. Sam Carpenter puts himself into third. Callum Roberts has put himself, he's gone purple, and he puts himself on provisional pole position, does Callum Roberts, with a 1 minute 4.274. So he puts himself 7/100ths of a second faster than Philip Kraus, with Kean White puts himself into third. So Craig Baxter, Sam Carpenter obviously would be on the super soft tyres, putting themselves in the sort of the mid pack of this top 10, but in a very good position come the race, because as we said, you can just really play the strategy game with the fuel, with the tyres, and really it can pay off in the long run. You can see no drivers are actually on a lap at the moment. We've got Jacob Reed and Ross Woodford in the pit lane, deciding maybe the one run might be enough, or they might be having a look to make some setup changes before they have one last gasp effort at the end of the session in the dying stages. We've got Dano Branthome, 10th place, is currently on a lap. Let's see how he's going. So we've got, actually, my apologies, we'll go with Evan Rice. 9th place has gone purple in the first sector, has Evan Rice, with our graphic is saying he's gone purple, but he's set a green first sector, has Evan Rice. Now he's going to be going through turn number 7 and 8. Doesn't want to run over the baguette curves. He's on a super soft tyres, which is a very interesting strategy call from Evan Rice indeed. If he can put himself somewhere up towards the top 4 through turn number 9, now into turn number 10, the final corner on the circuit. Doesn't want to mess it up, and he doesn't. He's going to run towards the line. What's it going to be for Evan Rice? It's going to be 5th place with a 1 minute 4.655. That's a very good lap there from Evan Rice. He puts himself ahead of Sam Carpenter. So Sam's going to be hoping that wasn't a clean lap from himself, because Evan Rice puts himself ahead by 1,000th of a second. So Tommy Alato also will be looking to improve. So we've got any drivers. We've got Callum Roberts has gone purple in the first sector. Instead of 28.263, the man on provisional pole position with a lot of steering input, I may add, because that's the way you go fast around this track. If you're doing one lap. If you're doing a race run, that's not how you want to do it. He runs over the rumble strips there. I'm pretty sure that will be slowing him down, but he's gone red in the middle sector. He's lost 2 tenths. Craig Baxter puts himself on pole position by 200ths of a second. Comes out of nowhere. We were too focused on the Callum Roberts purple first sector. Callum Roberts is now going to run towards the line. It's going to be an improvement by 2 tenths of a second. Callum Roberts puts himself on provisional pole position. 2 minutes left in the session. That is a sensational lap there from Callum Roberts. We're hoping it was clean. I'm pretty sure there may have been some contact with Yolato. Puts himself second. So it's a Royal Blue 1-2 at the moment. That is that's sensational from Royal Blue, who really had a strong start to the season. Had a little bit of a lull in the mid-pack there in the early European races. It's got Sam Carpenter going green in the first sector. He's down in 7th place at the moment, is Sam Carpenter. Behind his teammate, he's actually on an out lap. So we're getting some graphical errors here. We can see he's Kean White on a lap. Let's see if his teammate is on a lap. No, he's just leaving the pit lane. So we're without live timing has let us down. Let's see if there's actually anyone on a lap at the moment. Dano Branthome's coming to start lap here on the super soft tyres. He's in 10th place at the moment, is Dano. He's got 1 minute 9 left on the clock, but this will be his final run, I would imagine, in Q2, into turn 1. Runs over the rumble strip, onto the grass. Will be slowing himself down slightly there, would Dano. He's now going to be making his way through turn 2 up towards turn 3. He's going to be braking after the 100-meter mark. Pretty much bang on the 50-meter mark. Gets it all nice and slow down beautifully there. That was minimal lockup under rotations there from Dano Brantham. Looks like he's really hooked up this lap thus far. He's now going to go down the hill towards turn 4, braking. Keeping the car. This is really, looks like it's been really clean from Brantham thus far. The question is it fast? He's 4/10 down in the first sector alone. So he's going to put himself around about the 6th place mark at the moment if he can match the final 2 sectors set. But obviously these are on the super soft tyres, so it's the second fastest compound we've got available here this weekend. He's down by 9/10, so he's going to be looking to maybe jump Ross Woodford. But that'll be a bit of a stretch, I'd imagine, as he heads through turn number 10 now. He's going to run towards the line. The dying stages of the lap. The clock is about to strike 0, and what's it going to be for Brantham? It's 10th place with a 1:05.2. So let's see, is anyone else improving? We've got Craig Baxter. He sets himself. He goes 3rd, as does Craig Baxter. Improves, but not fast enough to go ahead of Callum Roberts. So let's see. It's going to be Roberts is now going to come around the final corner. The provisional pole man, what's he going to do? Is he going to improve? He doesn't improve, but here comes Tommy Yalato, his teammate. Round the final corner comes Yalato. He's in 2nd place at the moment. He's going to run towards the line. What's it going to be for Yalato? It's pole position by 4/100ths of a second. Tommy Yalato puts it ahead of his teammate. What, is Kean White going to improve? Let's see, Kean White's done 2 red sectors. Let's see if he's going to run towards the line. Will it be an improvement? No, it's not. No improvement there for White. So it's Tommy Yalato ahead of Callum Roberts, a royal blue 1-2 ahead of Craig Baxter. Sam Carpenter in 4th ahead of Philip Krause. Kean White lines up in 6th ahead of Evan Rice. Jacob Reed qualifies in 8th with Ross Woodford in 9th and Dano Brantham rounding out the top 10. So a surprising front row of the grid with the 2 royal blues. We never see them up that high. They'll be absolutely on cloud 9, I would imagine, at the moment. But I fear that their celebrations may be premature because we've only half the job is done. You've got the front row lockout. You got to now do the job, because this could now mean that if I believe they were on the Hypersoft on the Ultrasoft tires, they were. So they were the only drivers apart from Jacob Reed to actually set a time on the Ultrasoft tires. So everyone else is on the Super Softs playing the strategy game, and everyone else is letting Royal Blue have their fun. But I fear as though now that Craig Baxter will sit in the slipstream of these 2 Royal Blue cars. He'll be dicing it at the front, saving as much fuel, and then he'll just pass them because the Ultrasoft tyres won't last as long as the Super Softs. Probably maybe half the life, maybe 4 or 5 laps, especially with the inputs that we're seeing from some of these drivers, really stretching the tyres to the absolute carcass almost. So it'll be interesting to see how long they'll last. The Super Soft runners will last a lot longer than those on the purple marked Ultrasoft tyres. We're now into warm-up. We've got 10 minutes of warm-up. So what we'll do is we're now going to run through and have a bit of a look at the current championship standings. See if we can get them up. We'll go with the drivers' standings at the moment. So we've got Craig Baxter, who's leading the championship for the first time this season with 134 points ahead of Kieran Chadwick. 6 points behind in 2nd place. Kieran staying at the back of the grid, really with a mountain to climb if he's going to try and overhaul Craig Baxter and take back that championship lead. Obviously, it's still fairly early. We're almost halfway through the season, but it's still fairly early in the season to be thinking about a championship favourite with the gap that close. Sam Carpenter, not that far behind as well, on 102 points with Sabre. Really been sort of in no man's land with Philip Krause, obviously starting later in the season. He's making up ground on Sam, and sort of the front 2 are sort of running away a little bit with Sam, with a few rough results, to say the very least, in some of the earlier stages in this season. Some of the, I think Turkey was a race where he sort of started at the back of the grid and then and especially in, I believe, Monaco, where he pitted on the safety car on the first lap. It was some weird strategy calls and weird calls in general, but he's in 3rd. It's a good position to be in. Philip Krause in 4th place for Zesty Racing, 77 points. Obviously, I would say, was absolutely robbed of 2nd place in Canada with a disconnection. Took him out of 18 points. So here we're looking to bounce back here in Austria. Kean White, Sam's teammate, in 5th place, quite a ways away behind, 33 points behind Philip Krause, more than the win behind Philip Krause. So he'll be looking to maybe hold off the drivers behind him, like Tino Nakarainen, who I don't believe is racing today, but is 10 points behind with 34 points. Evan Rice in 7th for KRT with 30 points, still riding off that sensational second place in Australia in the opening round, part of the KRT 1-2. Scott Davison, currently in New York, in 8th place with 28 points. Callum Roberts and Tommy Yolato round out the top 10, the two Royal Blues. The front row of today's grid sitting there in 9th and 10th with 18 points apiece. They'll be looking to maybe add a substantial amount of points to their tally in this race. But we shall have a look at how they stand in the Constructors' Championship. So we can see if we can get the graphics up. We've got Defiance leading the Constructors for the first time this season. So Craig Baxter and Scott Davison, fantastic result out, obviously, last time out in Canada, puts them in the Constructors' Championship lead for the first time this season. 4 points ahead of KRT, who sort of were leading the entire time up until now. Obviously started off very strongly with a 1-2 in Australia and just built from that point. Sabre, a few points behind there with 146 points. In 3rd place, and then there's a bit of a margin to Zesty Racing with 77 points, all of which have been scored by Philip Kraus. Dano Brantham's really struggled to get to grips with the car, but he's starting in 10th place. He'll be able to build and potentially get his first points of the season today, with ACR Zack Speed in 5th place on 48 points ahead of Royal Blue, the pole team, the front row team for today, with 36 points. Stupid Motorsports, Visceral Sim Racing, 17 points apiece. 1 point behind that is Drillers Motorsport with 16 points. And then 2 points behind them is S2. So the midfield, maybe I'm going to say 7th down, maybe 12th or so in the Constructors, is incredibly close. There is only a couple of points. That's it. Like an 8th place could really put yourself from 13th in the Constructors all the way up to 7th. It's really, really close. And it's going to be really enthralling to see how this race is going to play out, especially with fuel, engine, and tyres. The three, main points to a race are really amplified, especially in this Austrian circuit, because you're really pushing the engine in terms of its life, because you're really pushing the gear shifts, which could stretch the engine to blow up. Maybe we saw a few blow ups in practice. We've got the curbs, which are really going to be, there's absolutely no room for error, no margin for error in the curbs, because we don't want people track extending, but people have a tendency to, and so they'll be punished for them with pretty much damage. I think the curbs are that severe. We've got fuel. The most amount of fuel will need to be saved in terms of the entire season is in this race. So more than probably, I'd say almost half the race you'll be saving fuel if you're in the slipstream in the bottom fuel mixture, burning the lowest amount of fuel. But then you've got to watch out behind with people who are just going to attack and overtake you anyway. So, and then the tyres, we've got pretty much the entire top 10 starting on the super soft tyres, and then you would imagine everyone behind them will either start on the super soft or the soft tyres themselves. So Yolato, Roberts, and I believe Reed are the only people potentially in the entire field that will be starting on the ultra soft tyres. It'll be very interesting to see how long those ultra soft tyres are going to last in comparison to the super softs, because they may be able to hold on strategy wise, but there's got to hope that their tyre wear isn't as bad as first feared in the practice sessions. But we've got some drivers that are on circuit now. Let's see, we've got Philip Kraus in 5th place, is currently on circuit. He's following the Sabre car of Kean White, is Philip. Obviously, Philip, a tough role, and we've got a spin there for Kean White. A tough race last time out in Canada for Philip. Was in 3rd place, going for 2nd, and the World Wide Web struck in the hardest way possible, disconnecting him from the server. He actually didn't disconnect from the voice communications in Discord. He just disconnected from the server, came back, and then disconnected again. So it's a tough game sometimes, and it's a really unfair game, but so that's racing. That's sim racing in general. Sometimes you win some, you lose some, but that was definitely a big loss for Philip. 2nd place, comes out with nothing after what was a sensational race up until that point. Starting fairly high up in the grid. I'm not sure, 100% sure what position. Maybe, I think he's starting in 5th place, the position he is in the moment. Starting in 5th place on the super soft tyres with the likes of Carpenter and Baxter around him. Could really look to move forward. You've got to watch out for probably a typical Kean White banzai move maybe into turn 1. who's starting in 6th place if he can get a good start. Evan Rice will be battling Ken White. I'd imagine all race, just like what we saw in Spain, where we had those two battling for pretty much the entire race distance up until the point where Ken White crashed into Evan Rice and took himself out the race, which was a bit awkward, but I think he's learnt from that mistake. Now going to see who else is out on circuit. We've got pretty much the entire top 10, pretty much the entire field are almost out on circuit. Craig Baxter's going through turn number 3 now. We're in the 2.5 minutes left before we go to the race. Round number 8 of the season. 25 points on offer for the race winner. And you'd say at the moment, Tommy Alato is the man that is in the best position to do so. Starting on pole position, his first pole position of the season, the first pole position for Royal Blue of the season. It's very, very exciting indeed. I believe Craig Baxter has had every single pole position, bar Spain, where he locked up and Sam snuck it away in the final dying seconds, and this race. So if Craig doesn't get pole position, you know that it's not an important position to start from, especially with this fuel, because I'm gonna bang on about it all race long, but it is so vital, because you may think you've got enough, but if you want to be battling someone at the end of the race, you're just gonna have that little bit extra so you can actually push and not run out of fuel at the end. The worst thing possible, even though this final corner is downhill, is for you to run out of fuel through turn 9 and you got to roll towards the line. You'd be A, losing speed, B, losing time, and C, becoming a risk for other drivers to be being crashed into. So it's going to be close on fuel, to say the very least. The leaders, the people that are out in front, are the ones that are going to be at the most risk of running out of fuel. So Tommy Alato, the pole man, if he can stay in the lead, he'll be potentially losing fuel. But what Royal Blue should be looking to do is they should know that this fuel issue is going to be so prevalent, and they should be working together, slipstreaming each other, either to get ahead of the rest of the field or to just save each other fuel and keep at the front of the grid, because Craig Baxter isn't going to want to overtake them and take the lead of the race, because then he's not saving any fuel. He's just going to be ahead and he'll be running out of fuel slowly, but he'll be running out of fuel nonetheless. So if you can keep in front of everyone and slipstream and work together, you can really save fuel and keep at the front of the pack and potentially save tyres, which is all three things that the Royal Blue cars need to be doing, starting at the front of the grid, a front row lockout. I'm going to say it's the first front row lockout we've had all season. I'm thinking. I'm not 100% sure on that. We might check the statistics there, but there's a potential that it is the first front row lockout we have seen this season in AOR. Can I check the results and just see if it actually was, because it'd be a fantastic statistic for the Royal Blue cars to have if it is the case. We're going to have a look here and see. So in Australia it was Baxter ahead of Carpenter, so no. Baxter ahead of Chadwick. Baxter, Chadwick. Carpenter, Baxter, no. Yes, it is. It is the first front row lockout we've had all season. Obviously not the first one too, because we had a sensational KRT 1-2 at the start of the season back in Australia. So it will be very interesting to see if they can hold on. The clock has run out, so we're about to go green for the formation lap, my apologies, for the formation lap, and then for 50 laps of this Red Bull Ring circuit. So strap yourselves in. It could be obviously a fairly short lap, but also a fairly long race, probably approaching maybe the hour mark, I would imagine, for this race, rather than the 40 minutes that we've typically known, just because of the fact that these cars have just got so much drag in comparison to their former counterparts. The skinny, tall rear wings have had a lot more speed and a lot less drag than these wide, heavy cars that they've now got. So it's a longer race, but because of the fact that their cars are just a bit slower, because obviously of a lot more drag. But we're about to go to the formation lap.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now?
Well, we're here now for the formation lap ahead of 50 laps of the Red Bull Ring circuit for the Austrian Grand Prix, round number 8 of the AOR rFactor 2 Formula 1 World Championship. We've got Tommy Alato on pole position, his first pole position of the season, his first pole position for Royal Blue's first pole position, and he's ahead of his teammate in the form of Callum Roberts. So Royal Blue 1-2, the first lockout we've seen this season, ahead of Craig Baxter, the championship leader, in 3rd place. Seb Carpenter lines up in 4th place ahead of Philip Kraus in 5th in the Zesty racing car. Kean White is in 6th place ahead of his rival Evan Rice in 7th. We've got Jacob Reed in the Stupid Motorsport car in 8th ahead of Dano Brantholm in 9th, with Nick Brackey starting in 10th place. David Puskowski in 11th ahead of Adam Cronin and Ross Woodford in 12th and 13th respectively. We've got Dionysus Farios in 14th place ahead of Dominic Lambrix in 15th place. We've got Max Shepard down in 16th place ahead of Lasse Sorensen in 17th. We've got Arjen van Putten in 18th in the reserve car ahead of Kevin Turner and Ruben van den Hudding in the VD Sport car, which is technically green, but the livery's a work in progress. But we've got the man who led the championship all the way up until the end of the last race. Kieran Chadwick is in 21st and last position. We can see the Royal Blue car, Tommy Alato, is rounding the final corner. He's going to pull into his grid slot, the first grid slot, pole position, starting on the ultra soft tyres. Him and his teammate are doing so, and behind them, the next car to do so is Jacob Reed down in 8th place, and I don't think there's actually anyone else starting on the... Oh, we've got Lasse Sorensen is in 17th place, and Kevin Turner in 19th is. So they're the only drivers starting on the ultra soft tyres, which just shows how fragile they may be. As we are going to be heading up 50 laps of this circuit. Doing it now as they build up towards the 5 red lights. It's lights out and away we go here in Austria. It's a fairly good start from Yalato. Craig Baxter's now going to try and pull alongside Callum Roberts. There's going to be, looks like it's going to be a Royal Blue 1-2 as we head into turn 1. It seems to be fairly clean from the start. Craig Baxter is keeping station. There's been a bit of a collision. Dominic Lambrix is down and he's on the grass almost, but it's going to be Tommy Yalato who leads now ahead of his teammate Callum Roberts. We've got Craig Baxter in 3rd, who's looking to put pressure on Callum Roberts. Doesn't look like he's going to make a move though. Sam Carpenter is in 4th. Kean White's put himself up into 5th. Evan Rice up to 6th. Jacob Reed down to 7th. So we've got Philip Kraus, who's lost places off the start, down to 8th after starting 5th. So he looks like he's going to be trying to make up positions. He's going to try and go around the outside. Is Philip Kraus on Jacob Reed? He's going to be on the curb there on the outside. That's going to give Jacob Reed just enough clearance to get ahead. Yes, it is. So Philip Kraus here looking to gain position. Dano Brantholm, his teammates just behind him in 9th place. And it's going to be Nick Brackey. He's going to round out the top 10. So we now go back up towards the head of the field. Tommy Yalato leading the pack. Now through turn number 9, he's going to just... He's looking to gap the field immediately. He's put his teammate in his dust. 1 second already between him and his teammate Craig Baxter. He's only 6/10 behind Callum Roberts. So this is exactly what we were talking about in terms of the saving fuel strategy. If you can keep in the slipstream for as long as possible, not pop your engine, not kill your tyres, you can save fuel, and that'll put you in good stead at the end of the race. We've got a big slide there from Callum Roberts. So here comes Craig Baxter. Let's go on board with the Scot. He's now going to be heading up through turn 2. He's going to try and go on the inside into turn number 3, is he? He's going to make the move. It's sort of a half-hearted move. No, he's going to commit. He's going to go up on the inside. Here's Craig Baxter. It's going to be a drag race now. Super soft versus ultra soft. Callum Roberts is just edging ahead, but here comes Craig Baxter with this superior straight line speed. Is he going to make the move into turn number 4? He's going to try and go down on the inside. Here's Baxter. Go off board. He's going to squeeze. He's going to squeeze Callum Roberts off the circuit, and that is That was a very, very aggressive manoeuvre from Baxter. So Carpenter now puts himself up to third. It's Gelato ahead of Baxter, ahead of Carpenter, ahead of Roberts, ahead of Rice now, who puts himself up into 5th place. So that was a very dicey manoeuvre there from Craig Baxter, but he puts himself now up into 2nd place, and he's 3.4 seconds, 3.5 seconds behind Tommy Gelato, who's absolutely disappeared up the road on those ultra soft tyres, which he's got to, because they won't last as very long in comparison to the super soft tyres. Tommy Gelato now sets the fastest lap of the race, obviously, because he's on the ultra soft tyres. Craig Baxter and everyone's going green. There's been a fairly poor sector from Callum Roberts, obviously, with that excursion into the gravel. He's in 4th place. He's keeping going. But let's see. We've got, I believe it's here comes Philip Kraus now on the inside of Jacob Reed. He's going to try and get him on exit, and he does. And Philip Kraus puts himself up into 7th place. Now, gaining position there off what was a fairly poor start from Philip. He's now going to be setting his sights on Kian White in 6th place to try and make up another position. But let's see if there's anything else going on. We've got, obviously, Tommy Gelato is going purple in the first sector by about 0.4 of a second. He's really, really going for it. He's absolutely bolted up the line. It's 4 or so seconds now between Craig and Gelato, obviously, with just so much pace in terms of those tyres in comparison, but he's absolutely disappearing up the line is Gelato. He's going to complete lap number 3, head on to lap number 4 as Gelato with about 3.6 second gap between himself and Craig Baxter. See if there's any other changes in position. Seems there's at the front seems to be holding station. A lot of saving of fuel, but here comes Dano Brantham and Nick Brackey into turn number 1. Brantham goes wide, psyched out there by Brackey, who was looking to go up on the inside, but now he's going to be absolutely swamped. Is Brantham. There goes Ross Woodford. Here comes Adam Cronin now on Dano's Brantham. It looks like he's going to edge ahead his Brantham, but he's going to be blocked in by Woodford. Is Cronin going to try and go down on the inside? He is, but will Brantham be able to hold it around the outside? No, he's not, but here comes Max Shepherd. Brantham's just getting absolutely hounded now. Max Shepherd's up ahead of him. He's down to 13th, is down at Brantham. He's in the slipstream now of Max Shepherd, so he might think, you know what, let's save some fuel. No, he's not. He's going to try and drive it up on the inside, but here comes the 2nd place man in the championship, Kieran Chadwick, up to 14th place after starting 21st. So it's just a lot of jostling for position. So they've got Lasse Sorensen coming into the pit lane already from 20th position. And Kevin Turner's already made a stop. He's on the soft tyres down in 21st position. But Tommy Gelato is now going to come around the final corner, complete lap number 4, and head onto lap number 5 of this Austrian Grand Prix. 3.7 second gap between himself and Craig Baxter. Sam Carpenter's just dropping behind a little bit, but Callum Roberts now looks like he's under some pressure from Evan Rice. Let's see if we can go on board with the American in 5th place. He's now going to be looking at the rear wing of that Royal Blue. He's in the slipstream. He's going to try and go round the outside into turn number 3. He's going to be alongside now into the braking zone. Will Sam Carpenter get in the way? No, Evan's just going to try and hold it. He's going to get in the loud pedal. And is he going to put himself ahead? He is. But will Callum Roberts be able to slipstream his way? He's got DRS, but will he be able to slipstream his way up, back down on the inside into turn 4? Here comes Callum Roberts. No, he thinks better of it. Very smart move there from the Brit in now 5th place. Demoted down from 2nd to 5th is Roberts, and here comes Cam White as well, so he'll be looking to add some pressure to this battle. The ultra soft tyres may already be going off for Roberts, so that will be not very good tyre life, and that'll be very, very worrying for his teammate who's out in front, is going fairly well indeed. So we've got a driver in the pit lane, 21st position. Let's see, is he out of this race, or is he kept going? No, we've lost Lasse Sorensen. Lasse Sorensen's retired from the race. A 3.8 second gap for Tommy Gelato at the front, ahead of Craig Baxter, with Sam Carpenter in 3rd. Evan Rice now is looking very threatening indeed on Sam Carpenter. Let's see if we go back on board with the American, pretty much in the exact same place as we did 1 lap prior. Evan Rice in the slipstream of Sam Carpenter. Through turn 2, now into turn 3. Will he make up move into the inside? No, he thinks better of it. Will he be able to keep a gap close enough on throttle exit up towards turn number 4 now? He activates DRS. Sam Carpenter actually doesn't have DRS, so the gap is closing rapidly. Will Evan Rice go for a move into turn 4? Down on the inside goes the American. Sam shuts the door abruptly there. No chance of a move there for Evan Rice. Sam Carpenter says, nah, you're going to have to pass me on a straight if you're not going to be able to go through anywhere through any of the corners on this Spielberg circuit. Evan Rice now will be just do some adjustments, maybe thinking, okay, if he's going to be like this, we'll have another crack at a different corner. But any changes in positions, we can see got Then of Brantham in 12th place, just ahead of Max Shepard. So Brantham's got back ahead of Max Shepard at some point. We've got Kean White's gone really wide through the final corner. He's lost a position to Philip Kraus. He's down to 7th place. Is Kean White, so went really wide through the final corner. Probably maybe got caught out track extending, and it's really paid the price for it. He's lost a position as well. So we can see now, here comes, we've got Evan Rice now. He's under pressure from Callum Roberts in 5th place. So this little battle pack between Carpenter, Rice and Roberts is looking very threatening. Evan Rice squirming on the throttle. Let's see if we can go on board with the royal blue of Callum Roberts in 5th place. The slipstream effect has been negated, and the DRS, because of the fact that Evan is in DRS range as well. So let's see if will Callum Roberts be able to close? Maybe the tyres haven't quite gone off. He's got a lot of understeer there. My apologies. I'd like to change that immediately. The tyres look as though they have gone off for Callum Roberts. He looks like he's really struggling through these twisty bends here in the middle sector. Let's go back on board with Evan Rice, who looks to be closer than he ever has before on Sam Carpenter. Sam now he looked like he is struggling in this race. He's all over the shop there through turn number 10. Let's go off board just to see the visual gap between the two. It's diminishing as Evan Rice activates DRS. Will he make a move into turn 1? No, he thinks better of it, but he's very close indeed now through the exit on the run up towards turn 2 and into the braking zone of turn number 3. Got Max Shepard going purple on the first sector. Miraculously, somehow, the Supersoft tyres seem to be giving him a bit of life, but Evan Rice seems to be playing the smart game here of just saving fuel. That just seems to be that he's not really wanting to make an overtake because he's saving fuel. Sam Carpenter isn't, Craig Baxter isn't, and Tommy Yalato isn't. So Evan Rice, the highest placed man at the moment that is saving fuel in terms of staying in the slipstream. Craig Baxter might be doing so by turning down the mixture and just lifting and coasting because he's got no one around him. Same with Yalato, who the gap is now halved since what it was about almost 6 seconds, now down to about 3 for Tommy Yalato. So he might be starting to struggle on those ultra soft tyres, we're on lap 8, so he may be getting towards the end of the life of those purple marked tyres. Let's go back to the leader here. He's going to come across the line now to complete lap number 8 and head onto lap number 9. He did 1 minute 9.2 on that last lap. Craig Baxter did a 1 minute 8.7, so almost almost half a second there between the first and second in terms of pace. So Craig Baxter starting to close the gap. So you can see we've lost another car from this race as well. We've lost Kevin Turner has retired from the race as well. As we've got Ruben van den Huddings had a spin, 16th place. He's had a spin at the final corner, has Ruben. Kieran Chadwick, the second place man in the championship, stuck down in 14th place. So he might be looking to do something strategy-wise because he's not getting forward on the circuit. Let's see if there's any close gaps. We've got Phil Kraus, he's very close indeed to the royal blue of Callum Roberts, 6th versus 5th. He looks to be closing ever so slightly. But what we might do is we might leave that battle. We might go back towards a bit more close to the front of the field. We've got Evan Rice, 4th place, ahead of Sam, behind Sam Carpenter, who's in 3rd, but looks to be really struggling is Sam, because Evan just looks like he's just got the car in so much better of a position in comparison to the Brit. But here comes Evan Rice. He's going to be looking, will he be able to slipstream his way up now through turn 2 into the braking zone of 3? Will he make a move, Evan Rice? No, he thinks better of it. He's just saving that fuel. It looks as though we're a 5th of the way through the race, and Evan Rice is just thinking the long game. I'm just going to stay in the slipstream and save fuel. He is pretty much nose to tail with Sam Carpenter, so this is incredibly close racing between the two of them, but it's not really a race. It's sort of more of an economy run. Probably the best way to describe it, but let's see what's going back up at the front. We've got the Royal Blue car down to 1.8 seconds ahead of Craig Baxter. It actually looked like the Yalato was indicating to the pit lane entry, and he sure is. Tommy Yalato, the leader of the race now, diving into the pit lane on lap number 10 of this Austrian Grand Prix. So the ultra soft tyres only lasting 10 laps at best. So it'll be interesting to see what Yalato can do here in terms of tyre strategy. We've got a car off in the background. There was a spin there at the background, a big one indeed. I think it was Arjun van Putten has actually spun around at the final corner, and he's down, and I believe he's out of this race. So Yalato though, 14th place, coming out the pit lane on the soft compound tyre, so the hardest tyre available at this circuit here for this weekend. He's gonna be going fairly long on those tyres, I would think, and into this race especially. But we've got Kieran Chadwick now back up ahead of Max Shepherd and putting pressure on Dano Grantham in 11th place. See if there's any other close battles. We've got Nick Brackey going up on the inside of Jacob Reed. They're having a bit of a dicey battle here, 7th and 8th. But here we go. Jacob Reed's going to try and go round the outside into turn number 6. Will he be able to hold it? No, just washes out under understeer. What about through turn number 7? Will he be able to attack? No, that's not typically an overtaking position. Jacob Reed on the ultra soft tyres, they seem to be going off just like Yolato's did. Will Callum Roberts also, who was also on the ultra softs, come in at some point soon? It remains to be seen. So we've got Nick Brackey just ahead now. Jacob Reed will be looking. I reckon he'll be looking to make a move here. But we'll leave that battle because we've got Callum Roberts struggling ahead of Philip Kraus. Philip Kraus looks to have got a way better exit out of turn number 1. Will he make a move into turn number 3? Philip Kraus seems to be gaining ever so much in the slipstream. Will he make a move down on the inside into turn number 3? No, he thinks better of it. He's just going to hold station there. Will he get a good enough exit out of turn number 3 to make a move with DRS into turn number 4? Roberts without DRS, Philip with DRS. He's closing ever so much. Will he go to the inside? He is. Philip Kraus is going to go down on the inside into turn number 4. The American moves himself up into 4th place in this race, now ahead of Callum Roberts, and Kean White now looking to also make a move on Callum Roberts. So those ultra softs must be struggling for Callum Roberts. It's time to make a move into the pit lane. So you see the leader of the race, Craig Baxter, 3.2 seconds ahead of Sam Carpenter, who's only 0.5 of a second ahead of Evan Rice, who's closing ever so much. As we got Kean White is now ahead of Callum Roberts, who has come into the pit lane. We've got a big spin there. I believe that was David Puskowski. Huge spin out of the final corner. I believe he smacked the wall. Yep, David Puskowski is out of this race as well, down in the 18th place and out of this race. But we've got the leading pack. Jacob Reed's the longest runner on these ultra soft tyres. He's really making them work. He's putting the pressure on Nick Brackey. So let's see if we can go on board with the 7th place man. He's going to try and go down the inside into turn number 3. Will he keep the car under control? Yes, he is. What about on throttle? Will he be able to keep it all under? Yep, he is. He's kept it all under wraps. He's got DRS as well, so he's going to be able to pull further ahead of Nick Brackey. So Jacob Reed showing a bit of life in these ultra soft tyres here on lap 13 of 50 of this Austrian Grand Prix. Obviously, a few people yet to pit, so sorry, my apologies. The fair amount of the grid are yet to pit, so the order's a little bit mixed up a little bit, but it'll just get further mixed up as the front runners like the likes of Baxter, Carpenter, and Rice come into the pit. It'll be interesting to see when Craig Baxter and Sam Carpenter and Evan Rice do pit, where the positions where the Royal Blues will be in relation to that. But we've got Evan Rice now. He's up into 2nd place. We missed that move. Evan Rice up into 2nd place now, ahead of Sam Carpenter. Sam's turn to save some fuel. Will he make a move, though, immediately back up into the middle, into turn 3? He's in the slipstream. Will he make a late diving move? No, he just seems to back off a little bit. Maybe he's angling for a better exit out of turn 3 with a DRS move. Evan Rice, so without DRS because he was ahead through the detection zone. Sam Carpenter closing with DRS. Will they make a move into turn 4? Here goes Sam Carpenter down on the inside into turn number 4. Brett moves it back ahead of the American. This battle seems to be has got no end in sight. But here comes Evan Rice. Will he make a move back up into turn number 5? No, into 6. My apologies. No, he thinks better of it. He's lost a bit of time there due to Sam putting him in a bit of an awkward position. But Reed and Chadwick having a bit of a dicey battle, 9th and 10th. You can see them flicking about on the. But we've got Ross Woodford now, who's only 0.2 ahead of Kieran Chadwick. So Kieran's now really starting to put the pedal to the metal on this 14th lap of this Austrian Grand Prix. So let's see if he's going to go on board with the Brit in 9th place to see if he's going to be able to move ahead of Ross Woodford, who looks to be struggling. Evan Rice now dives into the pit lane from what was 2nd place up into down now to 5th that pit. So Evan Rice hasn't been able to make the tyres last as long as Jacob Reed now comes to the pits, as well as Dano Grantham as well. But Ross Woodford all over the curve there. Here comes Kieran Chadwick. He's going to pull alongside there just with the sheer speed that he's carrying in comparison to the man who went over the sausage curb through turn number 1. And Kieran Chadwick now moves up into 7th place. The man in 2nd place in the championship up into 7th place. So he's really just looking to see how long these super softs can go and how long he can, how many positions he can make up just throughout the course of this race. But we've got Adam Cronin and Nick Brackie really close on circuit. This could be a battle that could be brewing. But let's see if there's anything else going on. We've got they are the closest cars on track. Ross Woodford and Kieran Chadwick are fairly close, but that battle seems to be done and dusted. Craig Baxter's now the leader of the race is going to come around the final corner to start lap number 16 of this Austrian Grand Prix, where we're nowhere. We've only just got past maybe quarter of the way through this race, so we've got. Oh, sorry, my apologies. We're not even quarter of the way through the race. We've got a long way to go. Strap yourselves in. Kieran Chadwick and Ross Woodford come to the pit lane, 7th and 8th respectively on the track. Have now dived into the pit lane, so the super soft tyres haven't lasted as long as they are at the front of the field. Those super softs only lasting 15 laps for those two drivers, so be interesting to see where Craig Baxter's going to come into the pit lane, because that'll be the definitive point in which the tyres are off, because Craig has been pretty much on his own this entire race. Hasn't made a single on-track overtake apart from that dicey manoeuvre with Callum Roberts earlier in the early stages of this race. But Max Shepard's up to 8th, obviously with people yet to pit. We'll see if we've lost any other drivers from this race. We've lost Ruben van den Hudding. He's out from 17th place. But we've got people sort of mixed up order-wise. But we've actually got, my apologies, we've got Evan Rice has now come out ahead of Callum Roberts. He's pulled off the undercut of the world, and Tommy Yalato versus Max Shepard. Max Shepard looks like he's angling for the pit lane. Adam Cronin's fallen a bit behind as Kean White is coming in. Craig Baxter, the leader of the race, has also come into the pit lane. So Sam Carpenter now leads this race ahead of Philip Kraus. Craig Baxter, so 16 laps is all that those tyres are going to last. He comes out, it does Craig, on the soft tyres. Here comes Tommy Yalato. Will Craig Baxter get out ahead of Yalato? No, he doesn't. So Tommy Yalato holds on to the effective race lead here in Austria. Just about, but the gap has closed significantly, has it? Obviously, Craig on much fresher tyres in comparison to Yalato. So Craig will close that gap, that 8/10 of a second gap to Yalato fairly quickly with a snap of his fingers, you would imagine. Yalato pitted, I think, on lap 10, so there's 7-lap-old soft tyres in comparison to brand spanking new soft tyres for Craig Baxter. So it'd be interesting to see if maybe Sam Carpenter and Philip Kraus can pull the overcut on these two. Obviously, Craig Baxter's gotten what is essentially second place. And Evan Rice looks to have closed the gap as well to Craig Baxter. The gap's about 0.3 of a second. 3 seconds, my apologies. He's got the fastest lap of the race, does Evan Rice. So Evan really starting to show some fantastic form here when his teammate isn't up at the pointy end of the field. But we've got the two race leaders, Sam Carpenter, Philip Kraus, have come into the pit lane, which means Nick Brackie is going to lead this race ahead of Adam Cronin. We've got, here we go, Tommy Yalato versus Craig Baxter. Will Craig Baxter go up on the inside? No, he's not thinking about it. Let's see if we go on board with Craig Baxter as he now heads up toward turn through and into the braking zone of turn number 3. He looks to be gaining in the slipstream, does Baxter. Will he make a banzai move on the inside into turn 3? No, he thinks better of it. He's going to think, let's just save some fuel and some tyres and stay in this slipstream for a bit longer. But he's going to activate DRS now as Baxter down the hill towards turn number 4. Will he make a move like he did to Robert? Down on the inside goes Craig Baxter on Tommy Yalato. Will he put him out to dry on the curb? No, Yalato backs off, and that's Craig Baxter now back up into what is effectively the lead of this race once we have more pit stops in front of us. Wow, that's a big move for this race, as Craig Baxter is now effectively in the lead of this race, going to extend his championship lead with Tommy Yalato down in what is going to be second place in this race, with Evan Rice up into 3rd. Sam Carpenter has been jumped solidly, with him down into what will be 4th. Philip Kraus down to 5th. As Adam Cronin now pits from what was 2nd place. So that means Nick Brackie still leads this race. He's gone 19 laps on those super soft tyres, has Brackie. So fairly good showing here from Nick Brackie, showing a lot of tyre, showing that he has the ability to hold on to those tyres for quite some time. So Kieran Chadwick now up into 9th after that pit stop. So Kieran Chadwick effectively in 9th place in this race. So could be looking to get some points. Definitely potentially going to be moving forward. Might be able to attack Roberts and White later on in this race. So we've got the purple sectors split between the drivers. Craig Baxter, Tommy Yalato goes purple by a small margin over Craig Baxter. So Craig Baxter and Tommy Yalato, the battle's not over yet. Sam Carpenter goes purple by 0.4 of a second over Evan Rice. So Evan looking like he's going to have a bit of a battle on his hands. Let's go down to 4th and 5th place. The battle between the KRT and the Sabre, red versus blue, America versus the United Kingdom. You go on board with Sam Carpenter as he heads through turn number 9. He goes up on the curb there to maximise the turn in through turn number 10 now. You can really see that he isn't pushing, but he is just closing with raw pace as Nick Brackey, the leader of the race, comes into the pit lane, which now promotes Craig Baxter up to the lead of this race ahead of Tommy Alato, with Evan Rice now into 3rd place, but is being pressured by Sam Carpenter. Sam Carpenter wants that podium place. You can see all 4 of these drivers are within the same shot. You can see we're on board with Sam Carpenter. We can see Craig Baxter just ahead of them there, as this gap is now going to diminish severely, which is going to mean that Craig Baxter is going to save some fuel. Evan Rice there with a big slide out of turn number 3, which is going to compromise his run. Here comes Sam Carpenter. Let's go off board. We're going to see him dive up on the inside into turn number 4. Here he comes up on the inside. Goes Sam Carpenter. Will Evan Rice be able to hold it there through turn number 4? There's a bit of contact, I believe, there between the two. So he headed through turn number 5 now into turn number 6. Will Evan Rice be close enough to make a move? No, he thinks better of it. Very clever racing there from Evan Rice. But there is a bit of a benefit there to losing the position. He can save more fuel. The fuel. It's really the fuel's probably more important than the racing at this stage in the race here on lap 20 of this Austrian Grand Prix. But he's very, very close indeed to Sam Carpenter. Sam's made the move, but wants to probably be passed again so he can save more fuel. As Evan Rice with a big slide there out of turn number 10. That was huge. Very, very lucky to save the car. But he hasn't seemed to have lost any time in comparison to Sam Carpenter. Philip Kraus now closing up to the back of this pack as well. Sam Carpenter with a poor exit through turn number 1. Will Evan Rice be close enough to make a move into turn number 3? He goes through the DRS detection zone. He is close enough. He's going to make a move as Evan Rice. No, he thinks better of it. Shows him the dummy. Will he be able to have the better exit in comparison to Carpenter? Carpenter seems to be pulling away there as they head onto the back straight. Down towards turn number 4. Evan Rice is going to have DRS. Will he make a banzai move down on the inside into 4? No, he thinks better of it. Just going to stay in the slipstream and save fuel. It's really, really clever racing here from these drivers so far in this race. It really is just a master stroke if you can stay competitive, but behind a car within slipstream, because you're really putting yourself in a very good position coming into this race. For all we know, Evan Rice could be in the box seat to win this race if he is saving as much fuel as my brain is thinking he is, because he's been behind Sam for quite some margin, quite a long time in this race. Craig Baxter hasn't been in the slipstream with anyone, and you can see he's just a few seconds up the road is Craig Baxter. So we can see Evan Rice is very, very close indeed. 0.2 of a second between himself and Carpenter. But here comes Philip Kraus as well on the American. So Evan's got to look in front of him, but also he's got to look in his mirrors, because they're now going to be firing their way up towards turn 3. Will Evan Rice make a move on the inside? No, he thinks better of it. Evan Rice now going to be angling for a better exit through turn number 3 and some DRS to help down towards turn number 4. Is he going to be close enough to make a move this time around? I don't think he's going to be. The gap's about 0.4 of a second. Really make a move. He closes a lot under braking. Sam Carpenter seems to be really tentative on the brakes, which means that Evan Rice is now able to close his closing gap by almost 0.2 of a second in a singular braking zone, has Rice. So let's see if they're just going to be closing. We've got Tommy Alato going about 0.2 of a second slower than Sam Carpenter. So some drivers are really starting to get into the rhythm here on lap 22 of this Grand Prix. We can see Evan Rice now 5. It's about 0.6 of a second behind Sam Carpenter, so not the greatest exit through turn number 10, which now means that Philip Kraus is going to be closing up on Evan Rice. We go off board the swing arm cameras. Here comes Philip Kraus on Evan Rice. He's in the slipstream of his fellow American. He's going to try and go round the outside, or the inside for turn number 2, but now it's going to become quite quickly going to become the outside for turn number 3. Around the outside goes Philip Kraus of Evan Rice. Evan Rice now is going to save some more fuel, but he's lost a position, so he can now stick with Philip, as Philip's now going to close up on Sam Carpenter and will most likely make a move himself on the Sabre car of Sam Carpenter. We've got Kean White now up to 6th place ahead of Callum Roberts, Kieran Chadwick in 8th with Ross Woodford in 9th, Jacob Reed in 10th as well. So the gap's out to about 2 seconds between the top 2, Craig Baxter and Tommy Alato. So it'll be interesting to see where Alato's tyres are at in terms of the rest of the field, because that second place may not be locked in quite yet, because he's on a different strategy to the rest of the field, and it's a bit confusing, and it's a bit of an anomaly, I guess you could compare it to to. We've got the drivers on the ultra softs that went to the softs, so the likes of Yalato, Roberts, Reed, who are in 2nd, 7th, and 10th, sort of on a different strategy to the rest of the field. But we've got Max Shepard in 14th place, just behind Adam Cronin by about 1.4 seconds. But we've got Adam Cronin versus Dano Branthome. So let's see, Branthome and Cronin. There has been a change for the lead, a change of position, but here comes Branthome in the slipstream up towards turn 2. Will Branthome be able to make a move up on the inside into turn number 3? No, he thinks better of it. There's a long way to go still in this race, but he's going to be in the slipstream. But here comes Max Shepard though as well. So Branthome got to look in front of him, but also back into his mirrors as well. But Craig Bass now starts to put the pedal to the metal, extend his gap by 2/10 of a second through that first sector yet alone. Tommy Yalato closes it back again by almost a 10th of a second. There's a big gap pace difference there between the 1st and 2nd, and then 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So we can see now Branthome seems to be falling into the clutches of Max Shepard rather than attacking Adam Cronin. Kieran Chadwick's up to 8th. Let's see, how close is he? He's 2.3 seconds behind Callum Roberts. There's a 4-second gap between Yalato and Carpenter, so Sam's starting to fall off the leading pack. So we shall now leave this battle and go back up towards the field. We'll have a look at 4th place. Philip Kraus is closing on Sam Carpenter. Evan Rice falling a bit behind. He's a second behind Philip Kraus, so he's not able to quite keep with the Americans. Philip goes onto the grass there through the exit of turn number 4. A bit of a wily move there on the outside. But we'll possibly be approaching the second pit stop for the sort of the front runners and the people on the logical strategy. They'll be approaching the second pit stop in maybe 5 or so laps time, around lap 30. Actually, sorry, my apologies. They're on the soft tyres, so they'll be going a lot longer than what we think. But Dionysius Farios comes in from 15th place. But the real battle we've got at the moment is Nick Brackey in 11th place. He's really close to Jacob Reed as they head onto the main straight. Brackey with DRS on Jacob Reed. Will he make a banzo move into turn 1? No, he closes up a lot though through turn number 1. Will he have the exit to be able to challenge Reed up towards turn number 3? The move might be made before we even get to turn number 2. Here comes Brackey on Reed. He's going to try and go up on the inside. Is Nick Brackey on Jacob Reed, wheel-to-wheel racing between the two of them. There's a car there that's, I believe, is being lapped. They're putting themselves in a really awkward position if they weren't. But Brackey's ahead. But here comes Jacob Reed again. He's going to try and go down the inside into turn number 4. There was a bit of a screen freeze there. A poor exit there from Reed. Brackey almost ran into the back of him. So incredibly close racing here between the two of them. Brackey versus Reed. Obviously, Reed's on a set of super soft tyres in comparison to Brackey's soft tyres. So Reed there with a bit of a pace advantage on the super softs alone. So it'll be very interesting to see what those two are doing. But Farios is a lapped car. I don't know why he's getting in the way of his teammate who could be attacking Ross Woodford ahead. We can see the gaps are stabilising now between the rest of the field. Closest battle on track at the moment is Max Shepard versus Dano Branthome, 13th versus 14th. They're on the main straight now, heading up towards turn 1. Will Shepard be able to close and pass Dano Branthome? We're on board with Max Shepard now as we head up the hill towards turn number 2 and into the braking zone of turn number 3. Will he make a dive bomb move into the inside? No, he thinks better of it. Branthome though with a poor exit. Max Shepard with even poorer exit. He won't be able to close enough. I don't think he'll be able to close enough with DRS to make a move into turn number 4, but he seems to be gaining there. My apologies. A lot of overspeed in comparison to Branthome, and no, there's no move there made into turn number 4. They're going to do the kink of 5. I don't think there'll be any move into 6. So it seems to be there'll be a bit of a reset, and they'll go again on the main straight. Back on to focus on Nick Brackey versus Jacob Reed, 11th versus 12th. 11th versus 10th, my apologies. On board with Brackey. Bit of a poor exit there through turn number 9. Now through 10, he's very close to Jacob Reed. 0.5 of a second. He's going to activate DRS. He's closing ever so much on Jacob Reed in the stupid motorsports car. Reed there brakes on the curb, which caught me by surprise. That really jeopardised his entry into turn number 1. But here goes Bracky. He's in the slipstream up towards through turn 2 into the braking zone 3. You can actually hear he just lifted off there. He didn't want to actually pass Jacob Reed, so he's thinking about fuel. But Nick Bracky's got a fantastic exit in comparison to Reed. He's going to try and go around the outside. Will the move be made before turn 4? Yes, it is. And that's now Nick Bracky up into the points. He's got a singular point, has Bracky up into 10th place. So Bracky here showing some fantastic form in his first race of the season. His first race for the AOR test team, but he'll be stepping up to the Zesty Racing seat next time out at Silverstone in 2 weeks' time. So very, very exciting indeed for Philip to be having Nick join him at the team. And Nick here showing why he's been signed by the team. He's putting in a fantastic performance, and he's in the points in his first race. First time driving the car. I think first time driving was yesterday. So steps into the car and puts in some fantastic laps and is putting in a fairly fantastic showing so far in this race. We're on lap 29 of 50 of this Austrian Grand Prix. We're beyond halfway. Craig Baxter leads ahead of Tommy Alato with Sam Carpenter in 3rd, Philip Kraus in 4th with Evan Rice down in 5th. Kean White in 6th ahead of Callum Roberts, this man who started 2nd, down in 7th. Kieran Chadwick from the back of the grid to 8th ahead. Oh, my apologies, he's actually just moved ahead. Has Kieran Chadwick of Callum Roberts. So Callum Roberts down to 8th with Ross Woodford in 9th with Nick Bracky, the man we were just talking about, in 10th place. We've got 16 runners still left in this race. Dominic Landbrick's currently the last of the current runners. As Max Shepard's just moved up ahead. We've got, let's see if there's we've got Callum Roberts is now coming into the pit lane. Yolato and Roberts, the people who started on the front row, coming into the pit lane at the exact same time. So this is now where the strategy becomes a bit more interesting in terms of where they're going to come out once everyone else pits. But it'll be interesting to see where they come out in terms of tyres, because they're going to come out another set of soft tyres. So they did about 20 laps on those soft tyres, which would get them to the end of the race. So that is Yolato and Roberts done if they are happy to take these tyres to the end. They're in a bit of a battle with people around them. Jacob Reed's up to 8th place ahead of Ross Woodford. Nick Bracky's now up to 7th place, the leader of this pack. Kieran Chadwick's a little bit of a league of his own at the moment. He's sort of on his own. 3 points. He's about 3 or 4 seconds behind Kean White in the Sabre car. So we've got Evan Rice in 4th place with Zack up to 3rd. Philip Kraus has passed Sam and he's up to 2nd place now, is Philip. So there might be a mistake from Sam Carpenter, but we didn't see that move done. Philip Kraus has been setting purple lap time after purple lap time. He has looked very, very fast indeed, has Philip Kraus. So Philip up into 2nd place, 7.7 seconds behind Craig Baxter, who's up in 1st place by a long, long way, especially around Austria. You'd expect the gaps would be a lot closer around this track, but Craig Baxter flexing his muscles and really putting down a gap in comparison to the rest of the field. So we've got Ross Woodford in 14th place in the pit lane at the moment. So he'll be going for his final stop of this race, and he's going to come out on the soft compound tyres, which will get him to the end of the race, all going well. So I'd be looking about 5 laps time, we might see the final pit stops for the rest of the field that are on the soft tyres that pitted on lap 16 of this race. Maybe some people might go a bit longer as well and go beyond that as well. So we've got Philip Kraus, who's really setting some fast times. He goes purple yet again, does Philip Kraus. 1 minute 7.177. In comparison to Craig Baxter, who was 0.7 of a second slower. The gap is down to 5.5 seconds between Baxter and Kraus. So Philip Kraus is starting to put in a bit of pace. Don't know what he's doing in terms of fuel. Craig Baxter will be saving fuel for certain. So this looks like it might be a Baxter Kraus Carpenter podium at the moment, how it's shaping up, but never discount Evan Rice. He looks like he has, he's a change man, he's a real spirited racer. So far in this race, he has pitted only the once, but he got some tyres that are a couple of laps older than Sam Carpenter, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do strategy-wise. Craig Baxter now. The gap is down to 5 seconds as he crosses the line to begin lap 33 of 50. Got the battle for 8th and 9th is building. We've got Jacob Reed versus Tommy Elato. Tommy Elato on fresh tyres in comparison to Reed. Reed yet to pit for the second time. He's on soft compound tyres in comparison with Tommy Elato. We go on board with Tommy Elato, the Finn in the royal blue. He won't be close enough to make a move into turn 1. No, he won't. But Jacob Reed is just behind Nick Brackey, who's just ahead of them as well. So it'll be interesting to see here if Reed can pull himself ahead of Elato with sheer slipstream. As there's a big and I don't think that was a dive bomb of the century there from Tommy Elato on Jacob Reed. There was no intention of a maneuver there from Elato, but Reed broke so early that Elato had no option but to go for the move. A sensational move there on Jacob Reed, which now puts himself up into 8th place behind Nick Brackey, who will put up the iron wall, who put up the brick wall, and will be making sure that Elato won't be making an easy pass. Let's have a look at Jacob Reed's tyres. If we can go on board, we can see that they might be struggling a little bit. The flat spots that he probably would have got from locking up there might jeopardise the handling of this car. And you don't want to be having any handling issues, especially with the curb and how much force you've got to put the car through these corners. You can see Philip Krause had a very poor final sector, a second slower than Craig Baxter, so there might have been a bit of an off-track excursion for Philip Krause. As Sam Carpenter has closed the gap massively, so the gap is down to 0.4 of a second between Krause and Carpenter. So Philip making a mistake, allowing Craig to extend the gap, but the gap's now actually, my apologies, is down to, is actually 5.7 seconds between Baxter and Krause, but Sam Carpenter is 0.6 of a second behind Philip Krause. And he's gaining ever so much through this second sector, which could be setting himself up for a fantastic move, potentially, through the first sector on the main straight and up into turn 3 and 4. Save Carpenter though, as he maximises. Sam though basically just drove off the track there. So Sam Carpenter losing out time. He's lost well over a second to Philip Krause. When Philip Krause now gets scamper back up the road, the gap has gone from 0.4 of a second to 1.7 seconds. As we got the battle between Brackey and Elato, 7th and 8th is very close indeed. Elato in the slipstream. Will he make a move into turn 1? He made a fantastic move on Reed. He is going to try and go up on the inside. No, there's no chance of a move there. With a bit of a slide there through turn number 1, just compromising his run. Reed pulls into the pit lane from 10th place. Elato there losing time in comparison to Brackey, which means he's not going to be close enough to make a move into 3. What about through 4? Will he have an exit that will be better than Brackey? It seems like they're fairly close. See, now he's going to be closing the slipstream. We'll go off board to see, will he make a dive bomb move into turn number 4? No, he thinks. But Robert Elato seems to be the bravest on the brakes in comparison to the rest of the field so far in this race. So we've got Philip Krause putting down the fast laps yet again after that off-track excursion. A couple of laps ago here on lap 36 of this Austrian Grand Prix. Philip Krause. Here goes Tommy versus Brackey. He's closed up massively through this middle sector. Will Elato be close enough to make a move potentially into turn 1? He's going to be activating DRS. Let's go on board with Elato. The Royal Blue, he's going to be activating DRS. The DRS straight just isn't long enough to make a move into turn number 1, but he can now set himself up for a fantastic exit through 1. He's in the slipstream of Brackey as he's going to head up towards turn 2 and into the braking zone of turn number 3. He's going to try and go up on the inside. Is Elato on Nick Brackey? They make a little bit of wheel banging, a little bit of contact there. Elato with a better exit now through turn 3. He's going to be pulling ahead with DRS on Brackey, but Brackey seems to have fantastic straight line speed. He's going to pull into the slipstream. Will he make a counter move into turn 4? No, he thinks better of it. Elato now up into 5th place. We've got Evan Rice has made a pit stop from what was essentially 4th place. He's made a pit stop and he's down into 7th place. So he's ahead. He's ahead of Cronin, but behind Brackey and Elato. So Elato effectively is ahead of Rice, but Rice might be able to attack him later in this race with Elato struggling on tyres. As Kean White comes into the pit lane from his 4th place. So the Sabre car coming into the pit lane, getting rid of those soft compound tyres. Let's see, he's going to pull into his box, go on board. What's he going to be putting on to his tyres? He's putting on the red striped super soft tyres, is Kian White. So he's going to have to go about 14 or so laps, is Kian White, on a set of super soft tyres, which is entirely achievable. So let's see what he can do. I think, though, that the people he's racing are going to try and go as long as possible and potentially strap on a set of ultra soft tyres at the end of the race, which can go about 10 laps, as we saw with the Royal Blues earlier in this race. We're on lap 37 of 50 of this Austrian Grand Prix. Craig Baxter leads ahead of Philip Kraus, with Sam Carpenter in third. Tommy Olato is in fourth at the moment, with Nick Brackie in fifth, but is yet to pit. So he's riding high at the moment, but will be put down the field a little bit once he pits for his final pit stop. Evan Rice, in sixth place, has now jumped and is ahead of Kian White. Kieran Chadwick is in eighth place ahead of Callum Roberts, with Jacob Reed in 10th. Max Shepard is in 11th at the moment. So Max Shepard looking like he might be getting his best result of the season, and potentially points. He's within a second of Jacob Reed, who's ahead of him. Let's go on board with Max Shepard, the Brit, in 11th place. He looks like he's angling towards the pit lane. Is Shepard? Let's see if he dives. He's going to dive into the pit lane. So there was no. We got a bit excited. We thought there was potentially points on the table, but it doesn't look to be. Max Shepard now pulls into the pit lane, going to get rid of those set of soft tyres. But we'll go back to see who else is close on the. Kieran Chadwick is all over the back of Kian White. So these two have pitted for a second time each. They're both on the set of super soft tyres. The gap is half a second between Kieran in 8th and Kian in 7th. So Kian versus Kieran, a bit of a difficult one to pronounce, but they head through turn 4 now and into turn number 5, the kink, before turn number 6. Just seems as though that he's closing as Sam Carpenter comes into the pit lane from 3rd place in this race. On lap 39 of 50 of this Austrian Grand Prix, Sam Carpenter, I would assuming, would be going on to a set of ultra soft tyres, but let's see where he comes out in comparison to his teammate, because it seems as though that Kieran Chadwick and Kian White are really flying at this point in this race. Let's see where Sam Carpenter is going to come out, and he's going to come out in 4th place, so he's going to come out behind Tommy Olato is Sam Carpenter, as Evan Rice goes purple, and then Kian White immediately elapses that and goes purple himself. So there's a lot of fast times here happening in the dying stages of this race here on lap 39 of 50 of this Austrian Grand Prix. Craig Baxter, though, leads. It's Nick Brackie versus Evan Rice, 5th and 6th. It seems to be fairly close. Sam Carpenter going to pull ahead. He's come out on a set of super soft tyres, has Sam Carpenter ahead of Evan Rice. So if Evan can close, use that additional fuel that we believe he was saving to get ahead of Sam Carpenter and potentially move up into a podium place, with Yolato 2 seconds ahead, but on a set of soft tyres. So Yolato, I would think, will be demoted at least 2 positions here, as Philip Kraus, the 2nd place man, comes into the pit lane, pulls into the pits. He's going to be stopping his box, and he's going to be putting on a set of the ultra soft tyres, so the fastest compound available. Philip Kraus is on those. Yolato, I would imagine, will pass him and will put himself up back up into 2nd place. It's going to be very close, actually. We'll go off board between the two. Who's going to have the better exit? It's going to be Yolato, who's going to be side by side with Philip Kraus as they run up towards turn 3. Philip Kraus has got to get his tyres up to temperature and get those ultra softs. It's going to be side by side between the two as they break into turn number 3. It's going to be Philip Kraus who's going to pull ahead of Tommy Yolato, but a slow exit there from Kraus might mean Yolato might be able to come back here as they're going to be in the slipstream. It's going to be Kraus who's going to be ahead. He's got DRS in comparison to Yolato. Will Yolato make a dive bomb move into turn 4? No, it just seems as though that is game over for Tommy Yolato for 2nd place in this race, as Philip Kraus will be now putting the pressure on Craig Baxter to potentially have to come into the pit lane at the end of this race, at the end of this lap, as Craig Baxter does. The leader of the race, Craig Baxter, is in the pit lane. He's coming into the box now. He'll be most likely putting on a set of ultra soft tyres, you believe, as we've got 10 laps left of this Austrian Grand Prix. He pulls into his box now, gets raised up, and it's a set of ultra soft tyres. Let's see, where is Philip Kraus in comparison to Craig Baxter? Will he come out ahead? We can see Craig Baxter's coming out of the pit lane exit. Craig Baxter is going to come out ahead of the rest of the field. Philip Kraus is in 2nd, and it seems as though that's game over. Craig Baxter is leading by about 5 seconds, about 3.8 seconds between himself and Philip Kraus. So we're going to have Philip Kraus, and we've got Sam Carpenter versus Tommy Yolato in the background. Sam Carpenter's going to try and go round the outside for 3rd place in this race. Let's see who's got a better exit. It seems to be Carpenter on those fresher, super soft tyres, but Yolato's going to fight him back with a slipstream. No DRS for Yolato, DRS though for Carpenter, and Carpenter now up into 3rd place in this race. So Yalato falling back here with the soft tyres not able to give him the grip that he needs. So it looks like Evan Rice is now going to be the next man to pass Tommy Yalato. We've got Kian White in 6th place, a couple of seconds behind Evan Rice, with Nick Brackey in 7th, who hasn't pitted for the second and final time in this race. He might be going to the end, potentially. He's in 7th place at the moment, with Kieran Chadwick closing rapidly, though, 3 tenths behind in 8th place. And Callum Roberts quite some way away in 9th, with Jacob Reed closing on him, actually, in 10th. As we've got Nick Brackey, as if on cue, comes into the pit lane from 8th place in this race. So we can see Keen White goes purple, the fastest lap of this race so far. Craig Baxter now with a 4.1 second lead over Philip Kraus, with Sam Carpenter in 3rd, closing on Philip Kraus, with Tommy Yalato sort of holding station in 4th. Nick Brackey comes out on a set of super soft tyres, so probably not the best option for him. He's in 11th place. He'll be battling for that final point in this race, with Ross Woodford in 10th and in the points, with a point in this race. But the battle that we should be focusing on at the moment is Evan Rice, 5th place, behind Tommy Yalato in 4th. Soft tyres, worn soft tyres, versus a pretty much a brand new set of super soft tyres. It's going to be a fantastic opportunity for Evan Rice to grab 4th place in this Austrian Grand Prix here on lap 42 of 50. We've got Kian White has gone purple in the first sector, but all the top 3 are going as fast as they can. They're setting blistering time. Craig Baxter goes purple with a 1 minute 5.8, which is then immediately lapped by Philip Kraus, who goes up into it by about 4 100ths of a second. But let's go on board with Evan Rice now, who's in the slipstream of Tommy Yalato. We're now going to go off board because we can see he's going to be pulling alongside. We'll see just how close they're going to be. Up on the inside goes Evan Rice of Tommy Yalato. He's going to get a better exit for good measure as well. So Evan Rice now up into 4th place of this Austrian Grand Prix, ahead of Tommy Yalato and behind Sam Carpenter. Let's see if Yalato... I don't think Yalato is going to be under any threat from Kian White and Kieran Chadwick, but you never know. Those tyres might fall off a very abrupt cliff. So we've now got the top 2. Craig Baxter's gone purple in the middle. Philip Kraus has gone purple in the first. So we're seeing these two be trading blows and going as fast as possible. As Craig Baxter goes purple with the fastest lap of the race so far. Let's see if Philip Kraus can beat that. No, he only goes green, so lost 2 tenths of a second there to Craig Baxter on that last lap. The gap is 4.4 seconds between Baxter and Kraus. Craig Baxter just managing the gap. Hopefully fuel isn't an issue for him in the dying stages of this race, or else we could see a twist in this race that we would not have expected. He seems to be holding station and just cruising along in first place in the lead of this race, going for what will be, I believe, his 4th win in a row. Really, really strong showing so far in this season. Obviously had a rough start in Australia, but ever since then has been very, very, very fast and very, very dominant in quite a few races. Large gaps between 1st and 2nd places come the end of the race, and quite a few pole positions to add to that collection as well. 4.5 seconds between Craig Baxter and Philip Kraus. Sam Carpenter is in 3rd, Evan Rice in 4th. Let's see if Evan... No, he's about 3.8 seconds is Evan Rice behind Sam Carpenter, so no chance of a move between that. But the move that may be happening is Kian White, 6th place behind Tommy Yalato in 5th. Here comes Kian White. Exit out of turn 1. It looks fairly good from Kian White. He's in the slipstream of Yalato. Will he be able to make a move on Tommy Yalato? He's going to try and pull... Ooh, Yalato looking like he's going to defend it. He is going to defend. They make contact there into turn number 3. Let's go off board. We can see he's going to be going side by side between the two of them. DRS can be activated for Kian White, so the slipstream activated. It's the speed that Kian White's going to have in comparison to Yalato is going to be mega, and he's going to try and hold it on the inside. And that's Kian White now up into 5th place at this Austrian Grand Prix. Where is Kieran Chadwick? He's about 4 or so seconds behind is Kieran. So if he can close on Yalato, he can get himself a top 6 finish after starting 21st, which would be very, very good for him indeed. We've got Dominic Lambrex, Dinas Farias are also both out of this race. So Max Shepard, 14th and last out of the current runners in this race. We've got Nick Brackey on the ultra soft tyres, 10th place. quite a ways away behind Jacob Reed, so I don't think that'll be a move will be on between those two. The gap is 4.7 seconds at the front on lap 46 of 50 of this Austrian Grand Prix, round number 8 of the season here at the Red Bull Ring. You can see how Max Shepard's going. He is close to Dano Branthome. The gap is 0.4 of a second between the two of them. Branthome on softs, Shepard on super softs. They're both pitted twice in this race. Let's see, will Shepard be able to move ahead of Branthome? Seems to be fairly close to the Zesty Racing car in front. Max Shepard clobbers the curb through turn number 10. He's going to activate DRS. He's going to be in the slipstream for good measure as well as they head up the hill toward turn 1. There won't be a move, I wouldn't think, into turn 1, but maybe into turn 3 through the braking zone. A fairly good exit there from Max Shepard. Is all over the back of Dano Branthome. He's in the slipstream as well. He's going to pass the detection point. He'll have DRS after turn 3. Will he make a move, though, on the inside into turn number 3? No, he thinks better of it. He's going to angle for a better exit through turn number 3, and with a bit of DRS, he'll be able to move into turn number 4. Closing ever so much on Dano Branthome is Max Shepard. Will he go for the dive bomb into turn number 4? No, Branthome covers the inside, which means Mac can't make a move this time, but he's very, very close indeed. Will he be able to make a move into turn number 6? He's looking like he might have a go. No, he thinks better of it, which I think was the correct decision to make. So we've got just going to be close. There's 0.2 of a second between the two of them. The gap will, I think, will extend a little bit here through turn number 9 and 10. The dirty air will play a bit of a factor as we've got Branthome there all over the curb. Max Shepard, though, clobbering them even more. So anything you can do, I can do better as they head now to start lap 47 of this Austrian Grand Prix. Max Shepard all over the back of Dano Branthome. Gap's 0.4 of a second in the slipstream now. He'll pass the DRS detection point as well. So he will have DRS now after turn number 3, but will he be close enough to make a move before turn 3? No, he thinks better of it. He's going for a wide line, a better exit through turn 3, and what a better exit is. Let's go on board with Max Shepard. He's going to be activating DRS. He's going to be in the slipstream up towards turn number 4. Will he be close enough to make a move this time around? No, he's just not close. Branthome covering the inside, not inviting a manoeuvre in the slightest. So it just seems like the Max Shepard won't be able to get past as we're on lap 48 of this Austrian Grand Prix. Nick Brackie in 10th place is closing on Callum Roberts, who's down 9th. Jacob Reed puts himself up to 8th place. Kieran Chadwick in 7th. Tommy Yalato is 4.4 seconds ahead of Kieran Chadwick. So they're lapping, Kieran Chadwick's lapping around 0.3 of a second faster than Yalato. So won't be enough to catch Yalato and pass him, but a fairly good result for Kieran Chadwick if he can hold on for 7th place after starting 21st. So we've got any close battles anywhere. We've got Kean White closing up on Evan Rice. Philip Krause is just ahead of Sam Carpenter. Craig Baxter 5.2 seconds though out in front as he starts the penultimate lap of this race. Through turn number 1 now. He's been dominant all race. He's played the strategy card to perfection. Doesn't start on pole. It doesn't matter. As long as you save tyres, save fuel, you can be there at the end of the race to make the win work. But Philip Krause with a bit of a wild moment through turn number 1 means that the gap is closed now to 1.1 seconds between Philip Krause and Sam Carpenter. But the gap is even closer, my apologies, between Evan Rice and Kean White. So Kean all over the back of Evan Rice now as they head through turn number 3. It's almost nose to tail between the two of them. Kean White with a fantastic exit. Let's see these two rivals, sparring partners in Spain. They're going to be going side by side now into turn number 4. They've made contact, the both of them. They've come to blows yet again. They're both somehow still on the circuit. They're side by side now as they head through turn number 5. They're going to be still side by side into turn number 6. Will Kean go up on the inside? Yes, he is. They're going to make contact yet again between the two of them. This battle has turned ugly again quite quickly between the two of them. Spain, they took each other out. Austria, they've just tried to take each other out yet again, but somehow they're both on the track and the position hasn't changed. Evan Rice is ahead of Kean White as Craig Baxter is on the last lap of this Grand Prix here in Austria. He heads up the hill through turn 2 and into turn 3. It's been a fantastic result, a fantastic race for Craig Baxter. But we'll leave him for a little bit. We'll see if the battle between Evan Rice and Kean White is as close as it has ever been. They were almost inside each other and inside a barrier, but it seems to be very close again. Evan Rice, 0.2 of a second ahead of Kean White. Will he make a dive bomb into turn number 3? No, he's angling for a move through turn number with DRS into turn number 4. Let's see if he can be close enough to make a move. There's a big spin there for Sam Carpenter, who's gone into the wall in 3rd place. So Sam, they're not going to be able to challenge for 2nd place. Evan Rice versus Kian White. They're side by side now through turn number 4, but we're going to go to the front. We're going to go back to the front. We're going to go to Craig Baxter. He's coming round the penultimate corner now through turn number 9. Craig Baxter, he's led fairly the majority of this race. He really played the strategy to perfection. Craig Baxter's going to come across the line now. He wins here in Austria. The Austrian Grand Prix is his. A fantastic result for him. Craig Baxter, Philip Kraus is going to come over for 2nd place ahead of Sam Carpenter. Where are the 2 battlers behind? Evan Rice looks like he's going to come home for 4th place ahead of Kian White. He does indeed. So Evan Rice, hold on. 6th place, it's Tommy Yalato with 7th place, Kieran Chadwick, fairly close in the end. Jacob Reed looks like he's going to come home for 8th place ahead of Nick Brackey, who's in 9th in the test car. But around the final corner comes Jacob Reed. He comes home for 8th place ahead of Nick Brackey, with Callum Roberts holding on, started 2nd, finishes now in 10th place. Ross Woodford is going to come around the final corner for 11th. Adam Cronin has retired as well, so it's going to be 13 finishes, look like, at the end. Ross Woodford comes over for 11th. Max Shepard versus Dano Branthome, very close at the line, but it's going to be Shepard ahead of Branthome. Very close at the line indeed, but it's Max Shepard who comes out ahead of Dano Branthome. Very close on fuel there for Max Shepard, but fantastic race. What a result for Craig Baxter. He finishes in 1st place ahead of Philip Kraus and Sam Carpenter. We're going to go to a short break now, and we'll return in a few minutes' time with the post-race interviews. Uploading and rendering now. Minutes left. See if he's up for an interview. Obviously, didn't start in the top three. None of the front runners didn't even finish on the podium. So we'll see if he's ready. We'll grab him. Sam, you here?
Indeed.
Sam, a great race, third place. How much was fuel on your mind throughout the course of the entire race?
Well, we went in knowing that it was going to be, I think, the worst on fuel that we've had so far, so the most saving. And it was a really odd situation in those first few laps with the Royal Blues just clearing off, especially Talo. And me, Craig, and Phil were sort of sitting there, not really able to get up to where they were in the first few laps. And those first crucial laps of fuel saving were really tough, especially for me, who was sort of in no man's land. So when you don't have anybody to slipstream, it's quite hard. So yeah, I managed to make it work though, and by the time we got to the final pit stop, everything was absolutely gunning it.
And the obviously the tyres, you had a bit of a spin there. I believe it was on the final lap of the race. Were you borderline on tyres, or do you think you could have done something a bit different?
Well, it's either push as hard as you can or bin it really at that point. And I was on the supers and Phil was on the ultras, and I was expecting them to come back to me a little bit just as we got to the final 3 laps or so, and they kind of did. Phil was having a little bit of trouble, and I thought I maybe could get him on the final lap, but just a little bit too far back. And obviously, when you're pushing that hard, 110%, sometimes those things happen. Not really sure what happened with that curb on the outside, but it's sometimes that happens, and it did.
Now, obviously, we head, I believe, to Silverstone next. We're going to look back to I think it was a few earlier in the season. You said that you do fairly well at Silverstone. Do you think we can see a good result from you there, considering it will be your home race?
Yeah, it's somewhere where going into there, I'm hoping to be strong off the bat, because there's races. Even this race, I know I finished third and somewhat salvaged a result, but there's races you do your first lap there in practice, and you're like, this is going to go well, or this is not going to go well. Silverstone, I'm just hoping, and I think it will be a place where I just do that first lap and it's feeling good. So if that can happen, hoping for another decent result.
Obviously, Silverstone as well will be the first race of the season that will be featuring the hard compound tyres. Do you think they'll be used at all, or do you think they'll just be sort of a throwaway and it'll just be the middle two, the softer 2 compounds?
Well, the harder compounds have been okay this season. There've obviously been some adjustments to the tyres as the season's gone on. We'll have to see how it goes. Obviously, we'll be doing race practice beforehand anyway. I really don't know how they're going to work, because it's a complete step into the unknown. We know the mediums are probably going to be a very good race tyre. It's just whether the hards have enough life in them. Because we're not taking the tyres down to the carcass anymore. We're taking them down to maybe 50 or 60% before we pit. And if they can stay in that temperature range for the whole time and still be up there pace-wise with the mediums, then yes, we can probably use them. It's just a question of whether it's worth it.
Okay. Well, we'll see you at Silverstone. Well done on 3rd place.
Thank you.
Rightio, we'll see if we can grab Philip, who finished in 2nd. Rightio. Philip, you here?
Hello there.
Hello, well done. 2nd place. Bit of redemption, would you say, for Canada?
Not really.
No. It still hurts. But
Just a little bit.
Just a
There's
little
tears
bit.
dropping out of my eyes.
And obviously, you were saying there after the race that you had a bit of contact at the start. What happened there at the start between? I think it was you and Evan.
I think he just drove into me. Maybe he got hit into me,
Okay.
but he just drove into me. I had a dark blue rear diffuser and a dark blue rear suspension for the whole race.
Okay, so a bit of damage there that sort of hindered your progress maybe towards the end of the race. Do you think that was probably maybe one of the main factors that prevented you from attacking Craig up at the point end of the field?
With like 10 laps to go, Sam said a piece of my car flew off in the last sector, so that probably affected it more, to be honest. Because I did notice I had a loss of downforce. So.
Okay, so the Austrian curbs providing a bit of damage there. But we head to Silverstone. How do you feel going towards that track?
I don't really like the track, but I'm good at it, so I guess I'm excited.
And obviously you'll have a new teammate in the form of Nick Brackey. Do you look forward to working with him for the rest of the season?
Hopefully I can bring points and maybe we have a shot at 3rd. We'll see.
Well, there you go.
Constructors, that is.
Yes, well done on 2nd place in today's race. We'll see you in Silverstone.
Yep, Dankeschön.
Rightio, we'll see if we can grab the winner. Craig, you here?
Hello.
Well, another win. I believe it's your 4th win in a row. Do you feel as though
I don't think so. Turkey.
No? Turkey? Wait, you didn't win Turkey, that's right. I completely forgot about Turkey. But another win nonetheless. You extend your championship lead over Kieran Chadwick, who I think came through for about 7th after starting last. But you seem to really play the strategy game to perfection. Obviously, you didn't qualify on pole, but then worked your way to the front of the field when it counted the most, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I knew exactly what their plan was. Qualifying on the ultras, the ultras, and I knew their tire wear was was terrible from practice. I mean, I seen them only been able to go 7 laps in the practice, so I knew instantly. And then first stint, it was basically I was just sitting behind them saving fuel. Callum was too slow, and then we had a weird bit of like interlocking with the collision, and then we sort of, I don't know, it was quite weird. I need to watch it back.
Yeah, you went off. It sort of looked like you went up onto the curb, and you both almost went off the circuit.
Yeah, we just got stuck. We basically just got stuck to each other.
Okay. Yeah. So, and obviously, fuel was a main element to this race. How did you feel, sort of in those first few laps where you had no one around you, no one in front, and no one behind? The Royal Blues disappeared, and sort of there was a bit of squabbling going on behind. How did you feel, looking at a fuel perspective, at that stage in the race?
Just had the engine turned down, just doing my own race because I knew it would come to me in the end. I think I basically went full pushing maybe twice in the ultras at the end. The rest of it was just basically bringing it home, really, especially in the last stint. After I touched one of the curbs quite a lot in the last sector, and I was like, nah, I don't want to put it in the wall now.
Yep. And obviously we head to Silverstone next. We're saying to Sam that's the first time this season we'll see the hard compound tyre being used. How do you feel that will go? That compound, obviously, a bit of a mystery to the rest of the field.
I reckon 1 stops could be possible for the people that are good on tyres, but it just depends if it's quick or not, because the pit lane is the longest pit lane on the calendar. So if anyone can pull off a 1 stop, it's probably going to be the way forward. The tyre it'll take a long time to switch on, maybe 2, 3, 4 laps to even get up to the proper pace. So that'll be the problem with it. Maybe the overcut will be faster rather than the undercut. Yep.
And obviously, Silverstone, the circuit, how do you feel actually going to that circuit itself?
Dislike it very much. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a fan, but I'm not slow there. So similar to Philip, really.
Similar to Philip, yes. So, well, anyway, congratulations on the win. We'll see you at Silverstone. There we go. So that was the Austrian Grand Prix. I hope you all enjoyed. 50 laps. Took some time, but we had a thrilling conclusion of the race, especially with Ken White and Evan Rice supplying a lot of spice towards the end of the race. But we hope you enjoyed. We shall see you not next week because we've got the AOR rFactor 2 Le Mans race, 24 Hour of Le Mans. I'll be there. A few other commentators. Ninja will be back. Curtis will be back commentating. And a few other special guests commentating throughout the course of the 24 hours that race. But then the week after that, we return for Formula One at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix, round number 9. We'll see you then. Goodbye.